Okay, presumably the bus driver left me off where you see the red circle, and Ming's instructions are that I go left and I'll pick up 3 different temples 20 to 30 minutes apart. And so I am guessing that this is the first one. My plan is to walk up this street until I've seen the second one. That'll confirm I'm on the right road. Then go to the third one and then start working my way back. And then, once back at this intersection, up that way, and that may be it we see way up there, is the Puning, or Puning, which is supposed to be truly spectacular. What's interesting as I walk along, this appears to be a water course to my left, perhaps a storm runoff. Fairly elaborately done. This side has, looks like rope, yep it is, rope banisters in between the pedestals. That has nothing, but on the other side of that, it appears to be nothing. So there must have been just to glorify or improve the waterway, and yet it's used for a sewage dump, literally. So this is the third temple. So it's closed, presumably for quite some time. No sign to it. Needs to be stricken from the guidebook, but Lonely Planet's so bad that could be decades before that happens. Anyway, I've seen it. Take another route back and see if I can get in trouble doing this. Here are our 2 large lions, protected from vandals, no doubt. There in the background, the second temple I'll be going to, which is open. Well, I have to think about it this way. How many other tourists have seen this temple? And that's probably either a bell tower or a drum tower. Now the irony is these temples, and fairly elaborate some of them are, including this one, it's a pretty big size complex, were built to honor the visits of dignitaries from other countries or parts of China like Tibet. So I'm now taking the more pastoral, scenic route than that one out on the road that I took up to the temple. And there, notice in the distance, is that curious natural protuberance, phallic to say the least. Somebody's doing some carpentry on the house. This is just a more tranquil route for the locals. There's a lot of rubble from some buildings or something that's been destroyed, and you might chuckle about that, but there's an area up there beyond that dirt that's been leveled off, and another area closer to that temple that's been leveled off. For the next 5 years, there's no telling what kind of structures you could see spring into the air from here. This is the Liangji ecologically friendly park, which could mean it's all a greenhouse, maybe rare exotic plants or something like that. You can see that this used to have greenhouse, but that's been abandoned as a concept here. But somebody has a little house back in there and grows their food, ekes out their living some way, but with beautiful flowers. Decades of agricultural rubble, perhaps. Old abandoned pieces of furniture. They're ready to plant something. Maybe rice. In those little paddies. No, it looks like they plant the corn in those little heaped areas and then maybe irrigate from those paddies. Couple little simple homesteads. Some of those pretty vine flowers just growing at random here. And the corn growing up in between them. Cabbage, I think, maybe lettuce back in there. An eggplant, that looks like small eggplants. And from those little hovels behind me, I just hear a big bunch of laughter. It pretty much epitomizes the Chinese, I think. Here a crop of peppers. And boy, they like these deadly things, I'll tell you. I'm sure that's a building not seen by tourists. You would think it was associated with the temple I'm going to visit, but perhaps not. That looks very Tibetan up there, and that may well be what it is, given to one of the lamas to celebrate their visit. It saw me stop and it immediately stopped. The temple I visited was that Shuxiang Si Temple that was closed. And now we're at Putuo Zongcheng Miao.
它是讲的藏传佛教中心，就西藏布达拉宫，所以说呢，下令保障西藏布达拉宫修建这个普陀宗正之庙。咱们大家可以看这版图，它的前半部都是，所以说呀，什么叫黄金万两，什么叫金碧辉煌呢？就是到上面就有看到的啊。那咱们。
Fellow I met, handsome man, sharp guy, quit his business, whatever he was doing in the financial world, to begin a course here with several other Americans and people from elsewhere in the world on, I get it right, something to do with like international development, whatever that means, but it's pretty broad. But in today's world, that would seem to be a very exciting potential. The fact that he quit what he was doing to follow a new path, I definitely empathize with. The stone elephant. Wonder why a gigantic one did they cook animals in it? I'm guessing that this is a Tibetan style of window. I think that all this was built solely to honor someone from China or another country when the Chinese emperor considered himself to be superior to everything. Perhaps these buildings were built as temporary abodes for the attendants who were with the personage being honored. Here are 5 pagodas on top of a building, and it's a pair. There's another one to the left somewhere.
Könnt ihr mal zu mir kommen? Marlene, Miriam. Marlene, Miriam. Hier kommen, Miriam, Marlene.
Komm, wir machen mal schnell ein Foto. Der Mann macht ein Foto von uns. Komm mal schnell her.
Komm mal her, bitte.
Beide.
Marlene, komm mal bitte.
Marlene.
Komm mal bitte her.
Schließ mir hier hin.
Appears that we can continue to go up, although it also says exit. There in the background, the tops of the next temple we'll be going to. Cast iron water reservoir pot. And a carrying chair. I hope we can get upstairs. I'd like to look at those panels. An impressive building inside of its own interior court. 3 tiers and still climbing up. Amazing edifice for one person. Hopefully it had a greater use other than the one now. This is an interesting building, 6-sided. It's actually 8-sided, top covered by gilt copper tiles. These are interesting covers for the drain holes, apparently, so someone won't step in them, but that in fact is what they are. These wooden steps inspire the thought that they have borne the weight of very great people in their times, as well as mine now. Here we can see a little bit of the wall structure, a coarse cement, a fine cement, and then a plaster that's been painted. Apparently one more level to climb up.